In this section, we are going to discuss a very important concept called RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It's important to understand what RAG is, why we need RAG, and how it actually works. We mainly use RAG for two situations. First, when the LLM does not know the latest information. For example, if the model was trained long ago and the user asks about something new or updated, the model cannot answer correctly because it has no recent data. Second, when we want the model to answer using our own data, like company documents, user manual, PDFs, policies, resumes, internal records, research notes, etc. The model was never trained on this private data, so it cannot respond using it, right? So in both of these situations, we need a way to supply the relevant data to the LLM at the time of questioning. But please remember, we cannot dump huge documents or entire databases into every prompt. That would be slow, costly, and inefficient, right? This is exactly where RAG becomes powerful. Let's discuss how RAG solves these problems. So RAG helps the LLM by pulling only the useful part of the data instead of everything. So here is what happens inside RAG. We take our data. It could be documents, PDFs, reports, or internal company content, or even user manual, anything. We break it down into chunks. After that, we generate embeddings for every chunk and store them in a vector store. Later, when user enters a query, we convert that query into an embedding as well. After that, we search the vector store to retrieve only the chunks related to that query entered by a user. These selected chunks are added to the prompt and sent to the LLM as context for that query. So the LLM can read the question, means query asked by the user, and the related information together. Now the LLM has the user question, means user query, plus the correct data as context, only related data with that query that we retrieve from the vector store. So it produces a much more accurate answer, which is given back to the user. In simple words, we can say RAG retrieves the right information, adds it to the prompt as a context, send it to the LLM, and the LLM gives a better response. As simple as that, right? The question is why this matters. So please remember, if you consider the scenario without RAG, the LLM mostly guesses based on what it was trained on. With RAG, the LLM answers using real, up-to-date, and the relevant data. This is how, using RAG, we allow LLM to answer from our personal knowledge base, company internal files, user manual, or updated information. Hope all of you are clear with how RAG works. Now let's implement RAG using n8n. As we discussed earlier, normally when we ask a question to the LLM, it answers based on what it already knows. But if the question is related to our own document, the model does not have that information. So instead of letting the AI guess, we first retrieve the correct data and then we generate the answer. This is exactly what RAG does. Before building RAG from scratch using n8n, as you know, we already completed the vectorization process that you can see on the screen. We took the document, this particular document, right? Smart Campus AI Assistant. We took this particular document, used data loader and converted it into text. Then we split the text into chunks using this recursive character text splitter. After that, we converted those chunks into embeddings using OpenAI embedding model and store them into Pinecone vector store that you can see. So now our document is stored in the form of embeddings inside our vector database, Pinecone vector database that you can see here. As I just said, we are using the OpenAI embeddings model with Pinecone. So this is our vector store. Now we will use this data to answer user questions. Now let's understand the RAG. Then we will implement it from scratch using n8n. So you can see we start with chat trigger. This is where the user asks a question. Then the question goes to AI agent. This is the controller. It understands the question and decides what to do. Inside the agent, we have OpenAI chat model. This is the brain that generates the answer. Now the important part, our Pinecone vector store. This allows the agent to search inside our document, which is already available on our vector store. Pinecone uses the OpenAI embeddings model to convert the query, means the question asked by the user, into a vector and compare it with the stored embeddings of our document, right? Which is available on our Pinecone vector store. Now, what's happened internally? When we ask a question, the chat trigger receives it. The agent processes the question. The agent decides to use Pinecone vector store. The question is also converted into an embeddings. Pinecone compares it with stored embeddings. Relevant chunks are retrieved. These chunks are sent back to the AI agent. This agent. The agent combines the retrieved context from our document with the question and sends it to the model, this OpenAI chat model, and the model generates the final answer. So here the model is used 2 times. First for reasoning and second for generating the final answer. Let's open the chat. Let's ask the question. You can see it is using Pinecone vector store. And this is the answer. You can see what emergency contact numbers are provided for campus security, medical center, and transport. And this is the answer. And this answer is not coming from the model's general knowledge. It is coming directly from our document that you can see here. Compare this answer with our document that you can see here. Great, right? So this way RAG works. Now let's build this flow using n8n from scratch, step by step. Now let's create new workflow. Let's change the name to RAG new. Let's click over here. Add first step. Let's search for AI agent. We are keeping default parameters and settings. Let's press escape key. Let's click over here. AI agent. And from add option, let's add system message. I have already created the system message. Let's copy this. Let's move to n8n and let's paste it over here. This is the system message or a system prompt. You are a retrieval-based assistant. Answer the user's question using only the provided context. And these are the rules. Use only the retrieved context to answer. Do not use any prior or general knowledge. If the answer is not present, reply exactly, I don't know, based on the provided data. Do not guess, infer, or add extra information. Combine multiple context pieces carefully if needed. Do not mention sources, databases, embeddings, or internal steps. Keep the answer clear, factual, and limited to 1 sentence. Right? So this is our system prompt that I have provided over here to our AI agent. Let's press escape key. Now let's click over here, this plus sign. We are going to add OpenAI chat model. Let's search for OpenAI. Let's click over here. OpenAI chat model. And as you know, we are using GPT-5 mini. Let's press escape key. Now let's click over here, this particular plus sign. We are going to add tool, means Pinecone vector store. Click over here, search for Pinecone vector store. I have already configured this particular account, Pinecone account, that I'm linking over here, and retrieve documents as tool for AI agent. Let's click over here. Let's write some description. Work with vector store. Let's choose our Pinecone index reg demo. This one, right? Where our document is available in embeddings form that you can see here. And this is our Pinecone index that I have used over here. I think done. Let's press escape key. Done. Let's add embedding model. Search for OpenAI, and this is embeddings OpenAI. I'm using my own credential, and this is the model. Text embedding 3 small. Let's press escape key. Done. Let's press open chat. And again, Here I have created some questions. Again, I am using the same question. You can see now it is using our Pinecone vector store and this embedding model. Done and great. And you can see this answer is from our document that you can see here. So to summarize, we build a complete RAG system where our document is first converted into embeddings and stored in Pinecone, our vector store. When user asks a question, it is also converted into n embeddings using this model, right? Pinecone finds the most relevant parts of the document from here. Those parts are sent to the AI agent. The agent combines the retrieved context from our document with the question which is asked by the user and sends it to the model. In our case, OpenAI chat model. The model generates the final answer based on that data, right? This is the exact idea behind RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So instead of guessing, the LLM is now answering based on our own document. This is how we can implement RAG using n8n to build intelligent systems that answer based on our own data, based on our own private document. Hope all of you are clear with RAG. Let's move on.